All right. Hi, folks. Welcome. Everybody jump on. I'm so happy to see the entire London office for 11FS has decided to watch this one. So for Simon Taylor and David Brer, I am branded today. Y'all should be happy. I've got my 11FS Fintech Insider shirt on. For everyone else that's joining, hey, grab a cup of coffee. We're going to start here in just a minute. Again, good to see everyone. Hello, Suwani. And again, I know there's no way I said your name right, but hey, glad to have you back in. Sid Rahar, your t-shirt is on its way. Jeff Tyson is on this. Jeff, you don't need to be. Jeff is allowed to leave. I'm going to give Jeff a pass, but everyone else, thanks for joining. Folks, again, grab yourself a coffee. We're about to get going. I'd like to say, Vanessa, your background is stunning. I love that. I love the mirror you got going on back there, how it reflects the light, so I can see the aesthetics that you have. I'd like everyone from my London office to love the pictures behind me. I'm in Alex's bedroom, if y'all are wondering. Nikhil, hey, good to have you on. And yes, I know, Suwani, I didn't even come close to pronouncing your name. I know you've sent it to me phonetically, and I still haven't gotten it right. But one of these days, I'll have you on the show. How's that? We'll get you on the show, and then that way I will get your name right. So everybody, good morning. Welcome to the 30th episode of Fintech Insider. I can't believe we are 30 shows into the breakfast show. Excuse me. I am Sam Maule, 11FS Managing Director in North America. I'm your host for this morning's show. Let us know where you're watching from. We love that we have an international audience. We've had folks consistently on from the Philippines, from Saudi Arabia, from Istanbul, from Africa, countries all over the continent. Ireland, London, Nebraska, Oklahoma. We'd love to know where you're at. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share this link with your friends. And please subscribe to 11FS on LinkedIn. You'll never miss a show. Today, we're very happy to be joined by Vanessa Lea. She's a senior research and strategy lead at 11FS. Vanessa and her team dropped a new research report yesterday. It was focusing on jobs to be done in the SMB landscape for the US and the opportunity spaces pre-COVID. Today, we're going to hear from Vanessa on what that process was like creating the report, the people she spoke to, the interviews she did, and supporting these. Again, the report is fantastic. We'll share links for that. Probably the most important question, Vanessa, is you did do research here in Jacksonville, Florida, where I lived, and it involved cats.
I did, yeah.
Please explain that.
The last time I was in Jacksonville, Florida, I was doing a really fun piece of research. We were essentially road tripping around cat owners' homes. I was working for an animal health company, and we did some proper jobs to be done, immersive anthropological style research, hanging out with cat owners. So yeah, that took me to Jacksonville.
I will go ahead and admit we have two cats in my home. I don't claim either of them. I actually can't stand them. We also have two dogs, which are two of the most beautiful, loving creatures I've ever met in my life. And come back here. I'll give you two cats, and you can take them with you. I'd be more than happy to give them up. I'm assuming you are in what part of London, Vanessa, right now?
I am in East London. I'm in Hackney, so not too far away from where we're based in the office.
There you go. For everyone that's curious, our office is over by Liverpool Street. And God, I would like to get back there at some point. So Vanessa, do me a little bit of a favor. Tell us a little bit about your background first, all right? Prior to joining 11FS, and then a little bit about your role at 11FS.
Yeah, so unlike most of your guests and unlike a lot of people at 11FS, I don't come from a banking background. I don't come from financial services. My background was actually in anthropology. So my passion has always been understanding humans, understanding culture. What is it that shapes our belief systems? What shapes our behavior? But always applying that to the commercial corporate context, because I think really immersive, culturally charged research can help you unlock better insight, help you identify more inspiring insights so that you can solve problems in a more interesting, unique way. And so, yeah, that's what I bring to 11FS as part of the research and strategy teams. We talk a lot about being multidisciplinary, but even within research, we're quite multidisciplinary and have lots of different mindsets. So we have the experts in the landscape, such as Sarah Kachansky, and then you've got people like myself who are more qualitative leaning. Ryan's more of a sociologist, and we get our heads together to solve problems and triangulate different types of data.
And I think that's incredibly important. And what I mean by that is have a team that's incredibly well-rounded inside an industry and outside. And I think we're going to see more and more hires like this in financial services. So what I mean by that is anthropologists, social scientists, storytellers, if you will. That's an art form. For anybody that's already downloaded the report, you know what I'm talking about. I've already gotten the comments nonstop about how great of a story it tells, how visually engaging it is, and how different it is from other reports that they've seen out of the industry. And so I think having folks like Vanessa on the team that understand culture, understand tribes, I'll use a word that we love at 11FS, and can engage with consumers and folks when you're doing the research, it adds so much value. It really, I've seen this firsthand in working with Vanessa, Ryan, Kate Moody, and the rest of the team on this. So let's talk a little bit about the report, Vanessa, because here's what I love about this report. We were remote working way before the COVID shutdown ever occurred. To me, that's one of the strengths of 11FS, the fact that we understand how to work virtually and digitally, probably better than any company I've ever worked for in the past. So Vanessa, you were interviewing small business owners in the US from your wonderful home in London, right?
Yeah, so this project, I keep calling it Project Springsteen because that was our code name, but that's not what it's called, is all about understanding small business opportunities. But we do that by understanding the mindsets, the ambitions, the aspirations, and the stories of what it's really like to be a small business owner. We talk so much about the landscape and what's going on and the survival mode at the moment, and what products and services we can cater to, but actually understanding what it's like to be that human who came up with this light bulb moment once upon a time that gets them up every morning is what we really wanted to unearth as part of this project. So context is everything. Human behavior underpins jobs to be done. And so my role was interviewing 12 small business owners across a number of different types of businesses. So we spoke to businesses, we split the sample between e-commerce and more people-centric businesses. So the e-commerce lot consisted of dress businesses, wedding dress businesses, a snacks business. She sells American snacks, Pop-Tarts to expats who live all around the world. And then we spoke to more people-centric organizations. So consultancies. We spoke to your barber, Will. We spoke to
did a nice job, everybody. There you
go. So we had some real variety in there, and through Zoom, through digital means, we spend at least an hour speaking to them, and we keep it really as broad as possible. It's not if a conversation feels like a ping pong or a survey, I feel really unsatisfied. But if by the end of these conversations, they say something to me like, gosh, I really got a lot off my chest, or feel a lot lighter after that conversation, you know that you've done a good job because they've told you about those things that really motivate them, what really makes them tick, and those things that keep them up at night, so that we can help create a better connection with them.
Yeah, when you all see the report, there's a page in there, 2 pages, where you see a business owner with their logo tattooed on their arm. And that's a real tattoo, by the way. And then the next page, you'll see this big, bald Hawaiian guy cutting hair. That's Will Todd. That's my barber, whom I love. When Eli and I, my son, went to get our haircuts 2 days ago, because they've opened up barbershops here in Florida under a lot of protocols. Both Will and his wife, who are the co-owners of the business, saw me, and his wife immediately said, "Oh, I owe you a digital diary." So I think that's important, right, Vanessa? While this is a standalone report, there's so much more that follows, and that's underneath the pages, if you will.
Yeah, so we started this research back at the end of January, February, and so we interviewed owners, we spoke to experts, people at PayPal, Rowe, Aslo, as well as doing a big piece of quantitative research to pull together the jobs to be done. But this was kind of perfectly formed pre-COVID, just before the first lockdown measures got put in place. We were almost ready to launch. So we thought we really need to take stock, pause, and it felt like there was a really interesting opportunity for us to actually follow these stories and connect with owners as they go through these really uncertain times. So we have the jobs to be done in a pre-COVID world, and we're engaging with these owners in a new way now. So we're staying in touch with them through online diaries, and every 2 weeks they're going to update us with what's going on, how they're feeling, what are they doing, how is business, how are they pivoting. So we've had one diary entry so far from a number of the business owners, but we'll be tracking that over the next few months. So we'll be able to see this story all the way through. And I think it's particularly interesting because we talk about businesses being in this survival mode at the moment, and nothing's going to be the same. But actually those motivations, why they started their business, why they get up in the morning, that's long-standing and it's enduring, and it's going to be a big part of why they keep going through these turbulent times. So if we can connect with that and remember that through this report, I think we've done a good job.
Yeah, just to level set for everybody that's watching this and listening to this, new unemployment numbers in the U.S. came out this morning. Another almost 2.9 or 3 million Americans filing for unemployment. That means the official number is 36 million people that have filed for unemployment. When you take into account the gig economy, contractors, that number is north of 40 million Americans that have filed for unemployment. And that's in about 2 months. Those numbers are gut-wrenching. Those numbers are such a significant portion of those are tied to small businesses, whether it be in the restaurant, the event space, you take your pick. So I think the timing of this report, the number of meetings we had with Vanessa and Ryan Gardner and the team talking about, do we release this now or do we wait? I think we made the right decision to kind of let some of the effects of COVID and the shutdown kick in so we could kind of understand and comment on it. So yes, there were whole pages that were updated in this for us. A good question already from Siddharth. Yes, your t-shirt is coming, Siddharth. Who do you think the leaders and thought leaders are in the new emerging SME space? Let me give my opinion real quick on that. And Vanessa, it'd be interesting to hear from you. 11FS. I'll go ahead and say that we're really good at this, Siddharth. We're great at market research. You can see it from the report. And commenting on it. I would say folks like Lita Galiptis, who's the CEO of Foundry for us, is one of the best emotive writers I've come across. David Brer is one of the best raw writers. David, that's a compliment. Simon Taylor is one of the most thoughtful writers, in my opinion. And I'm one of the best talkers. So I hate writing, as everyone knows. I'd also, outside of 11FS, I'd recommend Jen Tesher, who's been on this show before at the Financial Health Network. I'd recommend Ron Shevlin, the Cornerstone Advisors, who really believes in data behind the points that he's making. I think right there you've got a really good collection of folks to tap into. Vanessa, outside, and this is curious because again, you came from outside the industry. Who is it that you look to and say, this is an incredible researcher?
So I love looking at sources outside of the industry, and we were discussing this the other day. Louis Theroux has my heart. I've tried to call myself a commercial Louis Theroux many times, and it's not necessarily stuck. But his ability to glean information in interesting ways, I think, is a sign of a really good researcher. I think good research, what's most telling isn't always told. So it's not always in the answers that respondents give you, like where the answer lies. It's how they told you, what was going on around them, the things that you can see in their home, the content they consume. It's all those things, peripheral things, that are really revealing as to what really motivates them and makes them tick. So Louis Theroux is one. He's got a new podcast out, and his first guest was John Ronson, and they make such a great duo. But yeah, they're probably my top two, actually.
I would agree, and I keep saying this: the art of storytelling has never more been needed right? That's one of the reasons we do the Fintech Insider podcast. And that's why people comment a lot. They're like, and I've had this comments sent to us that from a marketing and brand perspective, they've never seen a consulting firm that has embraced it and applied this in the digital age that we live in. So I am hyping us up like crazy. I don't give a shit. This is our show. It's my time. I get to do it. But I think that's incredibly true. In the US, podcasts like Freakonomics, absolutely love Freakonomics. Planet Money is another great one. So again, the art of the story, right? Using storytelling, because people remember stories. They don't remember bullet points and charts, by the way. That's just bullshit. They remember stories. And so the stories are really what matters. And you'll see this in our report, the approach that we take and the reporting we do. So let's talk a little bit about that, Vanessa. Some of the key findings, if you don't mind. What would you say, some that you saw?
Okay, so in terms of the landscape, we know that banks are facing a completely different kind of competitor. Customers, they felt underserved. And one of the big challenges in the landscape is how the diversity of small businesses that there are. No two businesses are the same. Two businesses side by side in Main Street are not the same. So what we really tried to unearth was the nuance across different businesses. And comparing an e-commerce business with a more people-centric brick and mortar business, they're really incompatible. So there is no blueprint, and therefore you need to dig deep and understand what the nuance is between businesses. But something that unites businesses across this difference is really interesting, and it's why they started the businesses. And there were all these really, really passionate stories about, I'm going to leave corporate America, it's really unforgiving, and I want to set up shop on my own. I want to be in control of my income, my time, my salary. And all of a sudden they've created this business. They're juggling so many things, they're wearing so many hats, and this isn't the freedom they thought they'd signed up for. And there's a real challenge to relinquish control, the nitty gritty, the operational factors of the day-to-day. They feel too personal to hand over to someone else, or perhaps they're not at a stage where they can financially hire someone else. Or it's just this organized chaos that only they can decode. And therefore, a need to help small business owners prioritize their jobs so that they can reclaim that freedom and reclaim that dream that they thought they signed up for, I think is a really interesting challenge. But also hearing stories about the ingenuity that takes place, that light bulb moment when they came up with an idea. Some of those businesses include traditional, with a modern twist, Chinese wedding dress business. The owner, Viv, she realized that a number of her and her friends were getting married, and they wanted to nod to their Chinese heritage, but they also wanted to have a modern twist and have real tailored, friendly service that they weren't able to find. So she's created a modern traditional wedding dress business, and it was doing really well at the time. So this ingenuity to identify cottage industries and plug gaps that big players out there aren't plugging is the driving motivator for so many small business owners. So how can you match and mirror that passion that they have every single day through financial services? Because really, at the end of the day, they don't enjoy financial services. They don't enjoy reconciliations. They don't enjoy talking about cash flow. If anything, it's a thing they look forward to least. And they talk about doing it at 3 a.m. surrounded by glasses of wine because they put it off for so long. So talking to them about why they do what they really do, what really motivates them, is a challenge for businesses that for so long have been talking about really, really functional products.
So a great question has come in from Brian McCarty, who does marketing at Jack Henry. Do y'all plan to turn this great research into video content or mini documentaries? So one, David Breyer, I'd like you to comment on that for Brian. I will say, believe it or not, folks, we actually did a feature film last year. I got to love. So David actually came to our marketing and media team and said, I think we should make a movie. And we all looked at him and said, we think you're nuts. And one, David is, and two, he was right. We should have done a movie, and we did. We did one on 11 years after the crisis and what financial services looked like globally for this. And damn, we'll give you all a link to that. Bianca, if you don't mind, throw a link into that into the comments. it's something we really do believe in. Again, it's the storytelling aspect of this. And yes, I can guarantee you there's going to be a ton of videos, a ton of different formats of content that will come out of this, because it's something we really do wholeheartedly embrace. So look for that to happen.
And actually,
tell us a little. Go ahead.
We actually have
right.
one of the business owners that we interviewed coming on the podcast tomorrow. So you'll be able to hear from Joanne. She set up Aroma's boutique bakery in New York. So you can hear from one of our business owners tomorrow. And the report is full of images from these businesses' websites as well. So that's a great kind of visual insight. But one thing on that storytelling point as well, something that won't really get mentioned in the report unless I highlight it, is that the visual language we use this idea called dollargami. And one of our designers came up with this idea because origami is all about making something out of nothing. And the designer had immersed himself in these stories that the customer, the business owners had been telling us. And it was by immersing himself in these stories that he came up with the visual language for the report. So we have this origami, money origami throughout the report as our visual language, but there's a story behind that, and that story comes back once again to the customers and their vision.
So let's jump a little bit to the end of the report, if you don't mind, without revealing too much. I hate people that grab a book and go to the back, or like a movie, right? They read about the movie before, then they watch it. It drives me absolutely nuts. But let's talk about this from a banking perspective or a fintech company's perspective. What are one of the 2 or 3 takeaways on these are the gaps, and this is where you should really focus on that we like to hammer out?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so banks are facing a new kind of competitor. They're those who can offer those truly digital end-to-end services, the likes of PayPal, Stripe, and Square. They're the ones that are winning the hearts of business owners. We hear about business owners living within PayPal. I mean, PayPal is solving all of their needs, or Square is solving all of their needs. When it comes to the top kind of jobs, managing cash flow comes up top. But if we really want to think about those sort of future growth opportunities, some slightly unexpected things get thrown up too, such as creating a realistic and manageable marketing budget. So stretching and redefining what you think your sector, what your domain and your space is. There are opportunities there. People who have started their own business, maybe they've set up shop on their own. Once upon a time, they were working in a big firm. Now they're a consultant. All of a sudden, they have to be sales and marketing to bring in business. How can your organization help them in that space too? It's not as far removed from financial services as you first thought. But also tapping into their hearts and minds through your branding and helping connect your business, your organizational culture with the culture of small businesses. There is an undertapped need to connect with your customer in that way, to create win-win-win business models. And by that we mean a win for your organization, is it profitable? A win for the customer, is it helping solve their jobs? But also a win for society. So that's something that we're really pushing in our report and in the work we do at the moment.
I'll tell you, one of the things I loved about the report, the geek in me actually loved that open source cultural canvas tool that's included. Can you talk a little bit about that, what that is?
Yeah, so we often create cultural canvases when we're doing work in new markets to really understand and decode cultures that we're less familiar with. But in COVID times, we created an open source canvas. And so this is on Trello, so it's very simple to use. Anyone can access it, and there's a link in the report, and I think we can link it here too. And what we hope to do was to invite anyone who's willing to engage to upload a media source, anything of interest, and we have various different headings to help organize all the different kinds of information that we're seeing out there. And it serves as a repository for different media types, and how we are responding to COVID. And what we're doing with that is analyzing it and turning it into a framework that we'll be using ongoing. So we welcome everyone to contribute to that. Anything you see, literally a meme, an article, there is a space for it in the cultural canvas, and it walks you through how to allocate it under which heading.
Yeah, this is one of those things. I joined 11FS, I think it was almost 3 years ago now. And I remember just like a couple months in, starting on a project to build a digital bank for a bank. We talk about this a lot, that 11FS is going to do. And it starts off with this jobs to be done process that backs up this report. And in all honesty, I remember coming in skeptical. When you've been doing the business for a long time, as most of you are, and you've either been a product owner or involved in major projects, the whole idea of customer research, of that, you're like, this isn't anything new, right? That's the attitude you come in with. And then when you sit through the process and you watch the interviews and you watch all of the stories start to come together, when you're in a room and customer profiles and these canvases go up on a wall, and you can see how all the connectivity starts to come through and those jobs to be done that get pulled from it and the stories that come out of it. It really made me appreciate Ryan Garner, Kate Moody, Vanessa, and the team and the work that they can do. I sound like I'm selling, and I am, because I really don't. Again, I don't give a shit. This is our podcast. It really is. I haven't seen anyone that has done this well in the industry, and I think it's one of our. David Breyer likes to talk about what's your superhero power. I love that phrase. What is it that you bring? If you're going to be part of the Avengers, and that's how we first kind of put this team together, what is it you bring to the table that makes it you unique? And I will say this about 11FS, this ability to do this process, the jobs to be done, I haven't seen anyone do it better, flat out, across the industry. So the team, really appreciate you all, the work that you put in. And then thanks to COVID, the rework that you all put in to get this thing out the door. One of my favorite reports we've ever done. And everyone get out there, download this thing, share it, and ask us questions about it. And believe it or not, we've run out of time. 30 minutes flies, Vanessa, when you do this. It does. So one, thanks for joining us. Where can people find out more about you? And then where can they get the report?
You can catch me here on LinkedIn or vanessa.lee, spelled Lea, at 11fs.com. And the report is a bit.ly link, so bit.ly/digital SMB, all lowercase.
Yeah, get out there, get the report, share it. And I think ask us questions about it. Call us on it. I think that's incredibly important when you look at reports like this. If you disagree with something, challenge us. I think that's incredibly important to do. And we're up for the challenge, by the way. We'd love for you to do that. That's it for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by Kim Snyder from Clara Vias. And God knows I just slaughtered that name too. David, you're not the only one that can't pronounce things. Kim Snyder is very easy to say. The company, I'll have it right tomorrow. Again, if you know someone who'd like to be perfect to come on this show, don't hesitate to reach out to me at Sam Maule on Twitter or podcast@11fs.com. Shoot us an email. Everybody, have a great day. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow.